The midfield is an interesting market to cover. It has the widest range of diversity as a company is forced to gamble between specifications, build, and cost to appeal to particular markets, and if done right, this means mega bucks for a brand. If approached wrong, it's a flat waste of time. The Xperia SP is an alluring midfield contender. Let me explain. Mid-range devices generally come with a compromised build in one or many ways. The SP appealed to me in one major way. It is boarded and protected with a co-molded aluminium frame. Enough can't be said about how this feels in hand. Its hard matte feel is a refreshing change from all the plastic you get accustomed. It's compact and shaped as the Xperia ZL in many ways, and this equates to a nice size in hand, coming in at just under 10mm thick. Unlike the ZL, the SP has space at the top of the front face for the front-facing camera alongside the ambient light and proximity sensors with the speakers centrally located. The base of the device is pretty unique and cool. Besides the microphone, it has a transparent bar bound by aluminium, contains a transparent antenna to ensure good signal strength, and an interesting way of emitting the notification light and illuminating the device up in an array of different effects. The right hand side has the volume rocker positioned easily at the top, new unlock button protruding well from the middle, and the dedicated shutter button at the base. The left hand side has the micro USB port bulging out, and the slight angle to the sides and the angle off to the rear panel makes a nice match for your hand, and the top edge holds the headphone jack. Pleasingly, the rear panel lost the awful texture found in the ZL for a silky, soft touch plastic, and that offers a contrast to the aluminium sides. The main camera protrudes quite a distance from the rear panel, and to the left is the rear speaker and beneath is the flash and microphone. A massive negative for the build of this device is the distance you can visibly see between the rear panel and the internals. Whilst it is removable, it is some of the cheapest, flimsiest plastic I have ever seen. It removes not to give access to the battery, but just the micro SIM card tray and micro SD card slot. While this got rid of the annoying arse flap found in the ZL, a removable battery option would have been a solid choice. But besides a couple of shortcomings, the sturdy build, easy to use size, be it a little weighty, drove me in and gave me a point to gloat about when using the SP, and the unique notification light offered some originality. The SP is on the upper edge of the mid-range with a $400 price tag, so with it you would want some pretty reasonable specs. Performance was a big deal here, as the Qualcomm 1.7GHz dual-core S4 Pro and 1GB of RAM managed a fairly fluid user experience. As a comparison on benchmarks, it only came in slightly behind the Galaxy S3. I didn't notice major issues with lagging or jitteriness. It wasn't as fluid as the Xperia Z, and load times did seem a little slower than most of the 2013 flagships, but this just meant I had to be a fraction of a second more patient. The Adreno 320 GPU punched out a pretty awesome gaming experience, and you can hook this phone up to a PS3 controller to make it even better. Storage is well on the low side at only 8GB, but you can have up to a 32GB micro SD card. With Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, Wi-Fi, solid DLNA integration, and LTE, connectivity is a boss in the midfield finally. Signal strength and call quality was awesome. As well, the 2370 mAh battery gave me plenty of life. I could get over a day of moderate use, and continuous HD video playback shut off just shy of the 5-hour mark. Now, the midfield won't easily be graced by 1080p displays yet, but at 319 ppi pixel density, the 4.6-inch TFT 720 by 1280 pixel display is not only large, but is plenty sharp with plenty of accurate colors and bright. Colors are boosted with the mobile Bravia engine too, giving greater depth and vibrancy. Quite generous, I think, for a mid-range device, but you must accept lesser viewing angles, and while it is covered in Gorilla Glass, it smudges worse than most of the devices I've been using lately. The accuracy of touch was amazing. I found it even more accurate than I've been finding with the HTC One, and the settings give you the ability of adjusting the sensitivity to use with gloves and control of the white balance. What's crucially important when considering this device is that it comes with the same software suite as its top tier siblings. It hasn't been toned down, and it is the same clean version of Android Jelly Bean 4.1.2. What Sony did here was give an excellent continuity to its device range and made hardware the defining difference, which it should be when it's running Android. It's a nice, simple take on the OS, not cumbersome like others with too many included applications and heavy attacks on the UI, and sticks with on-screen buttons. The lock screen offers a quick slider for the music player and the camera, and otherwise swiping up takes you into the OS with a neat little transition. The pages scroll through like vanilla Android, but a pinch gesture gives you the ability to customize pages. In here you can add or remove pages as you like. You can add app shortcuts, widgets, choose from a selection of appealing wallpapers, and amend the color palette of the OS by setting a specific theme. This is about as interesting as the customization gets with the Sony overlay, but it's all it really needed. The multitasking panel has been changed up a bit by shifting to the right hand side, but operates the same as raw Android. It also includes launchers for the mini apps that run atop the OS and are movable. Only one can work at any one time, which limits functionality somewhat, but a reasonable attempt at multi-window phone use. The notification bar has a few non-customizable settings at the top, which I'll be glad to see change with the rollout of 4.2.2 hopefully. Of the included applications, Sony put at the forefront its new Walkman, movies and album applications with new icon designs and neat functionality. The Walkman app and album app make good use of the notification bar, pulsating to the beat and changing color based on the dominant color in an image. The Movies app aggregates information about your movie collection to give a great, visually organized space for your downloads. Most of the other inclusions are fairly stock Android and good basics if you don't have a favorite in the fleshed out Play Store already. If it wasn't clear, as a media device, the SP is great. The display welcomes HD content, but storage doesn't, so get an SD card. The browsing experience was fluid as it relied upon Chrome as the stock browser. A feature I didn't anticipate to be so prominent was actually the loudspeaker. It had really good fidelity and loudness, audio sounded deep and trumps the Xperia Z. What is lacking a little was the 8 megapixel camera with the Exmor RS sensor. Capable of 1080p video at 30 frames per second, and with the same looking overlay as Sony's flagship devices, I expected similar results. Images were definitely lacking somewhat by comparison. Not terrible by any means, just not as sharp. While the extent of control is still there with features to boot, the maximum resolution the SP can actually shoot at is only 7 megapixels with a 4:3 aspect ratio. If you prefer shooting at 16:9, be prepared to drop to 5 megapixels. While Superior Auto mode is back and taking control of shooting again for me, HDR video is gone and was a keen selling point in some ways for the Z and the ZL. The front-facing VGA camera is disappointing, and I think for price I would have expected better. Sony made waves this year with the water-resistant attack on the top tier in the Xperia Z and the super compact ZL, which the SP is shaped. Their crack at the midfield is pretty strong, with devices spanning many price brackets with enticing designs and reasonable specs. The SP stood out to me. It has a chassis design that's more premium than most around, a unique take on lighting effects, a display not unlike the Retina in resolution, a processor that zips well enough not to stagger behind, connectivity and software on par with its flagships, and battery life to run for more than a day. So what more could you want? Well, for cost, I would have appreciated a gig and a half. I think that's more fitting of the price tag, and a VGA front-facing camera is fairly poor form these days. Apart from that, I would really recommend it. A co-molded aluminium chassis feels a hell of a lot nicer than the mediocre plastics found in a lot of these midfield devices. Pick one up from wherever in the world you are from mobicity.com by following the link in the description below. I'm Kurt, this is KABOOtech, thanks for watching.